Hey peoples. So I have better news than usual. So the last couple of days, my sleep has been a lot better. I'm still not asleep. I mean, let's say right now it's 1 or 2 a.m. Something like that, I think. And I probably won't go to sleep before 3 p.m. But the good news is that I have been far more awake during the day and far more drowsy during the night. That is a good sign. For the last 2 days, it has been that way. And coincidentally, it seemed to start as soon as I changed how I took my pills. I started, as you recall, to recap, I had decided to stop taking all of my pills at night. That's my blood pressure medication, my venlafaxine, which is Effexor XR, and also my progesterone, all at night at the same time. Instead, I switched the venlafaxine from night to morning, so I take it together with my Vyvanse. I know that there are warnings out there against taking Vyvanse and venlafaxine together because of some adverse reaction that might occur, but I have been taking these medications now for about 5 years, and the Vyvanse I've been taking for maybe closer to 10 years. The venlafaxine I started taking about 4 years ago, or 3 years ago, and never had any kind of adverse reaction to taking them at the same time. So I now take the Vyvanse and the Effexor XR, or the venlafaxine, in the morning. I try to get it as close to 6 a.m. as possible, and then at 8 p.m. I take all of my blood pressure medications, my progesterone, and then at some point between 8 and, I don't know, whenever I think it's time, I take this, which is melatonin. I got this very recently. It came in the day before yesterday, and I really think it works. I really do. Now, I haven't taken it yet today. It does, whether it's this or the fact that I changed when I take my venlafaxine, the drowsiness that I feel in the evenings or in the late evenings is a very pleasant kind of drowsy. It doesn't feel wrong. It just feels like it's the end of the day. I start winding down. Now, I haven't taken this today. Not sure. I mean, I was busy doing some other stuff, so I kind of kept putting it off. But now we're going on close to 2 a.m., so I thought now is a good time. Really, I should take it earlier than this. And I always say that. I always say, I should take this earlier, but it's hard for me when I'm really hyper-focused on something to break away from it. It's just difficult. It's as difficult for me to stop doing something that I'm hyper-focused on as it is to start doing something that I have no interest in. This is part of the executive dysfunction of ADHD. It sucks. It sucks. It's not an excuse. It's a burden. It's a hell of a burden. There, I've taken it. This is a string cheese. So this is a school night. I still have to get up in the morning around 6:30 to get my son up for school. Getting up in time to get him to school on time has been tricky. I still have not set up my sonic bomb. Honestly, what I said a few days ago is true. If something is not in front of my face, I don't think of it. If it's not in my radar, it doesn't exist. Every once in a while, something will pop into my radar that you're like, oh shit, I gotta take the trash out or something, but it could very easily have gone the whole day forgetting that it needs to get done. And it's not a new thing. I've been living here for years. I know that Thursday is trash day, but sometimes it just doesn't compute. Sometimes it doesn't like, the fact that somebody says it's Thursday does not cause all these other memories to pop into my head. The crazy thing is that this doesn't happen to me at work. It's just very strange. My job, my career is in engineering. I have a bachelor's degree in computer science, and I've been a DevOps engineer, SRE, infrastructure engineer, started out as a systems administrator many years ago. And that kind of work, it just makes sense. It's not hard, It's regular life that's hard for some reason. But, I don't get to choose not to live regular life. I want to be living regular life. Does anyone have a choice? No. So, it's just a struggle. So, like right now, I've totally forgotten what I was talking about. I really have. This very moment. It'll come to me. Oh man, the hell was I saying? I was talking about my pill, melatonin, cheese stick. Very good. Oh, I was talking about the sonic bomb and how I keep forgetting to set it up because if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. And the funny thing is that it's sitting right next to me on the bed, but I don't look over there. It's there, but it kind of becomes camouflaged with the rest of the clutter. So, you might ask, didn't you say you were going to set up a bullet journal? Wouldn't this be one of the things you write down on your bullet journal so you don't forget? Yes. Have I been using this bullet journal? No. Do I want to? Yes. Why haven't I? Same reason. Out of sight, out of mind. It's a hell of a handicap. That's what it is. It's a hell of a handicap. And I used to be this trouble that I have. It's gotten worse with age, and I think that it's not just age that has made it worse. I think it's menopause that's made it worse. And they say that once you get through menopause and you get on the other side, that eventually your life will return back to normal and you'll be fine. Well, I'm waiting with bated breath for that to happen. In the meantime, I do what I gotta do. If I got into the habit, when I get into the habit of using that bullet journal, that will change everything. Because the fact that I can't hold all of my responsibilities in my brain at the same time will no longer be a problem. That book will tell me. Yeah? So, anyway, as far as sleep goes, I do feel an improvement. I really do. And I think sticking with the plan and starting to use my bullet journal and everything else that I know I need to do, working towards that, letting that become a habit is going to make all the difference. Keep in mind, I just want to make it clear that this really severe trouble that I've had, where my ADHD is so bad that I'm having trouble sleeping, and it's not just ADHD, it's ADHD, menopause, anxiety. All of these things have come to a head now, and where I was able to cope before, just 1 year ago, it was never this bad. This is the worst it's ever been with respect to managing my executive dysfunction, the insomnia, the brain fog. It has never been this bad before. This is the worst it's ever been. And I just have to push through this shit. And I feel confident that eventually I'm going to get a handle on it, and eventually it's going to get better. It has to. Yeah? I mean, if I end up developing something like dementia or Alzeimer's, well, that's a whole different story. But as far as I know, I don't suffer from those things. Does it run in the family? Mm-hmm. My maternal grandmother had dementia. She died of that. Now, my maternal grandmother is the only person in my family who had that. My aunt did not live long enough. My mother did not live long enough for us to know if they would have developed this. On my father's side of the family, my grandmother lived up to her 90s. She was very sharp. Never a single problem, except for when her organs were failing her. Then she started forgetting where she was those last few days in the hospital. But she was dying. Before that, she was really sharp, and she had a sharp tongue on her as well. So, and the rest of my aunts and uncles who have reached their 70s or whatever, none of them have any issues like that. So, I mean, I keep my fingers crossed that's not in my future. But you just never know. For right now, I know that my issues are, I mean, if you search on the internet, you're going to find thousands of women complaining about the same thing. Brain fog, their anxiety through the roof, insomnia, having trouble holding down a job, These are problems that most women have to deal with. Well, I don't want to say most. I don't know how many. I don't know what the statistics are. But every woman suffers through some kind of side effects of menopause. Some are severe, some not. And not every woman has ADHD either. So I think that as far as my menopause goes, my symptoms were fairly light. I had a few hot flashes, but it was never debilitating. I never had the leg twitch thing. My shoulders are not frozen. I did have brain fog, now and again, but that was no different than when I was pregnant and having brain fog. And because I've had to deal with ADHD for so long, my whole life, maybe I have coping mechanisms that could make up for that. I gotta tell you, there were some days when my mind would go totally blank. I'd be in the middle of doing something for work and my mind would go totally blank. That happened. There was one specific event that I remember that happening. One. Where it was so shocking to me that it happened that I won't forget. Any other occurrence of like momentary lapses in memory, you're like, oh man, what was that? You think about it for a minute and then it all comes back to you again. Yeah. But there was one time when I wasn't sure I could continue. And keeping in mind, this was right after some pretty traumatic events in my life, which probably compounded the whole problem. And so, you know, more doctors need to support women. Most doctors don't have the knowledge how to help a woman who's going through menopause. They're just told, oh, you're just getting older, you're gonna have to deal with it. No, we don't have to deal with it. We're missing a hormone in our bodies that can be replaced. So anyway, I'm not gonna make this whole thing about, you know, crusade for women's menopause healthcare. I got too much more to deal with my own problems, let alone all of the future of an entire gender. So I'm gonna go back to my bed, hope that this kicks in, and hope for a better tomorrow. All right, good night.